So now, before having this podcast, we put out a questionnaire to the students to see if they had any things they.
So this is where I get in trouble.
Pretty mild question, but I one thing that did come up was people wondering about the gender ratio of the school.
Yeah.
And how it is very male heavy, which
is not
traditionally
okay.
Which is changing in general across the country in STEM programs and universities in general. But how is that at RIT, and how are they?
Yeah, so here's I'll tell you a funny story, and then we'll talk about the nuts and bolts of this. When I arrived, I pronounced, and we had about maybe 35% women on campus, and I pronounced we've got to get it to 40%. And the reason I named 40 is if it was 40-60, it would look kind of even. I'd loved 50, but 50 seemed awfully hard. So 40% women. And then years later, I discovered that my predecessor, President Bill Destler, he had put out a pronouncement, 40% women. And then I discovered that Bill's predecessor, Al Simone, president prior to Bill, he put out a proclamation, 40% women, saying, okay, we've been working on this for decades, and we haven't moved the needle very much. Now, point of fact is we've got, women groups, women in computing, women in engineering, women in science. We've got all those groups. We've got all kinds of special recruiting we do. There are some special scholarships and da-da-da-da. And the point is, without all those special efforts, we wouldn't even be where we are. Mm-hmm. So we went out and checked with a national consulting firm and said, hey, these are the disciplines we offer. What would you expect if we work really hard at this, that our percentage of women on our campus would be amongst the undergrad student body? And the answer was exactly what you have.
Yeah.
And so what's the answer to this? The biggest part of the answer is adding disciplines that preferentially attract women. So what does that mean? It means we need to grow in the health sciences and in the life sciences, maybe some other places. Mm-hmm. Like in a school of nursing, for example, they work so hard to attract men into nursing. Mm-hmm. It's a big, big thing. And I would love to have that problem on our campus. And so actually we're working on adding health programs, health-related programs right now, and we're working on designing a school of nursing.
Yeah, okay. So not as much trying to forcibly put more women into STEM than it's just naturally.
Yeah, I think
more than
we're
just
always
the interest.
We're always going to be working on that as
Right.
hard as we can. But I think after 20 or 30 years of doing that, you got to say let's keep going, but let's call it what it is. The needle's not moving very much. And the one reason it's not moving very much is every one of our competitor schools is doing exactly the same thing.
Right.
They're doing everything they possibly can to attract women into STEM. And there's some schools that are wealthier than we are that have more scholarships that are designated specifically for women students and that sort of thing. And so if you look at some of the wealthiest schools in the United States in their STEM disciplines, they're somewhere closer to 50-50, but it's because of scholarship money. And in our case, I think however we do it, we just need to change the gender balance on campus. It's not healthy.